about a coincidence. I'm sure you're aware of that book, The Butcher of Riga,
Yeah.
and how the Mossad captured him,
Yeah.
right? So I looked up the author.
That's Zuckers.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Right. The Butcher of Riga.
I have two of his two books dealing with Zuckers here.
Right.
I was going to send it to the Riga to the Schwab Library. I bought them, and I used to send books all the time, but it's closed now, so I can't do anything.
No, hold on to it. Yeah, we'll make sure it's taken care of. But what's fascinating to me is I really didn't know the story.
Yeah.
But what made me feel good, and I had a letter to the editor published in the Washington Post. I said, in the law they said res ipso loquitur.
Yeah.
I mean, the case speaks for itself, right? And they're saying, well, they assassinated him, and I thought to myself, the man was clearly guilty, and the difficulty was to go to court and try to get testimony and get people to say that this is what happened when everybody knows what happened.
Yeah.
And there was that wonderful book, this Linda Kinsler, Come to This Court and Cry.
Yes.
And I met her. And again, small world.
Yeah.
I found her because I'm good at searching for people.
Yeah,
And
I
she's
think I have a book here.
Yeah.
Or I sent it
Right.
ready to read.
And she was the one who discovered that her mother was Jewish. Well, she knew that, and her father wasn't, and her grandfather was part of Zucker's what they call Arish Commando.
All right.
Yeah, he was part of it. And I said, what courage she had to write that book. But and then of course she's coming to New York. So where's she coming? Fordham Law School.
True.
Fordham Law School. She was coming to make a presentation. Yeah. And where did I go?
At which law school?
Fordham Law School, right here in Lincoln Center. And where did I go to law school? Fordham Law School.
Fordham.
So I'm saying to myself, how is it that there's so many of these coincidences? You know what I mean? And I came across, it is amazing. And in addition, recently, I came across a beautiful quote by the new Pope. And I'm going to tell you a funny story, is that I wrote a letter to the Pope, and they responded to me. But in the letter, I picked up on his quotation, and he said, coincidence is God's way of remaining anonymous.
God's
Way of remaining anonymous.
Huh?
It's a great quote.
Yeah.
It's like Bashert and Kismet.
Yeah.
But it's true, because there are things that you can't explain. And you better than me, how do you explain someone who survived starting out as a 9-year-old, came out the other side as a 13-year-old, came to America, I get the chills telling you, and to become a PhD in Columbia, when we all know getting into an Ivy League school is not an easy thing to do.
No.
They don't take everybody.
No.
So as I say, my hat's off to you. But more importantly is the joy of knowing that you use your Fingerspitzengefühl. You
I'm going
see,
to tell you something very, very interesting. My PhD dissertation that I prepared and defended and failed.
Ooh.
I had to do a second PhD, which I passed. So I have my PhD, etc. But the first one that was rejected at the defense, I had it published, has been translated into Chinese, I'll show you, has been translated into Japanese, has been translated into Italian. It's available in English, I'll show it to you.
Right.
And it's a classic and cited all over in specific studies.
And that was the one that didn't pass the first time, or that's the one that did pass?
The failed dissertation.
The failed one, right, exactly.
The failed dissertation became a classic.
Exactly. And that's the story of life. Everybody assumes, well, it failed.
Yeah.
I failed the bar exam the first time.
Yeah.
But I was working with the Attorney General's office. So I walked into his office. Steve, how are you? And I felt inadequate. I said, can you believe this? Here, I traveled with the Attorney General of the state while I was in law school.
Yes.
That was my PhD in politics, literally. Not literally, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
And yet, I couldn't pass the bar exam. So I took it again and I passed.
And
It's not the same thing, but...
in books, I read about myself because it's a story.
Right.
I can show you, for example, a recent 900-page book came, and about 10 or 15 pages deals with my dissertation and the failure.
Wow.
I can show you, I have it over here. And I finally prevailed, but at a tremendous cost, obviously.
Right. Right.
But I was determined
Right.
that I was going to do it.
And to me, that's part of the life force that you had internally.
Yes.
Because for you to get through what you went through,
Yes.
it takes a life force that candidly,
Yeah.
I can't really imagine.
Well, you see, after the liberation, I was focusing attention on the past, thinking about, the concentration camps in Stutthof and Kaiserwald, etc., etc. After I met my mother, she geared me to advance professionally. She says, if you're only going to dwell on the past, on the miserable past, not the beautiful past before 1939, 1940, etc., you will lose your future.
Right.
And she encouraged me to don't forget the past, obviously,
Right.
but you have to define the future.
Yes.
And remember, you have a family tradition.
Right.
So that is what has kept me going. To do a second PhD dissertation, that's nonsense, but I passed it. I passed it. But the first one has become a classic and translated into, I'll show you, to Chinese, Japanese, Italian.
Because
etc.
that's what
And
that's
it's cited
that's
all
sort
over
of the,
place.
I guess, for lack of a better word, that's kind of the irony or the contradiction of life.
Yes.
And you had an opportunity to get to know Elie Wiesel pretty well, and I know. And what I was magical about Elie is whenever he gave a speech, it took me a little while to figure it out, but I noticed whenever he said something, he would immediately contradict the premise, and he would do that constantly. It was it was almost like the beginning of Dickens' novel. It was the best of times. It was the worst of times. But Elie would say, it was the darkest time, and yet there was light. And I lost the family, but I found a new family. And he would go on like that.
For many years, he was teaching at City College.
When you were teaching?
And I was teaching there.
Right.
So we were together very, very often, Eddie and I. He was a wonderful human being.
Oh, he was a magical human being.
Magic. Fantastic.
And I just have nothing close to your interactions, but I just was very proud. It was about 5 years into the meetings about the museum, and no one really knew what it was going to look like.
No.
And they would have a lot of debates at these meetings, and they took place almost once a month, And in any event, at one point they hired consultants, outsiders, to give their professional opinion about what the museum's content should be. So they came up with the idea.
Do you need more water?
Yes, we can get her. Yeah.
Margarita?